that's we're getting to that level of management, that first level of management, and we're not necessarily seeing the benefits of it, which is going back to an earlier conversation of why we're opting out of management positions. But I want to double click on the financial gap because this article actually brought in some data points, which is the first one being the median home price is $433,000 in New York or in the US. The needed income to afford that is around $166,000 per year. The median household income is half that, less than half that. Baby boomers could afford homes and cars on a $30,000 salary. And Gen Z can't afford a studio apartment despite having maybe multiple degrees and working 40 plus hours a week. Not to mention, for those of us who are in the workforce that are actually putting in the work, we're being told that we're exceeding expectations more often than not, and yet we're not reaping the benefits of that work. And we're also not seeing millennials reap much of the benefits either, or get that ownership that they're promised, et cetera, et cetera. And some of that is attributed to the fact that boomers aren't retiring or aren't retiring as quickly
Yeah.
as we want them to. So it's like it seems to me like there's a cascade of effects going on. But there's also these like financial constraints and factors that are really impacting that incentive. The incentive to work hard, to put more hours in, to, do the most, I guess, in a Gen Z way of saying it, that I think other generations are picking up on. And instead of really having the empathy to understand it, they're instead being judgmental. A lot of the times, not everyone, not making that case, but I will say I definitely do feel like the generational stereotypes are really harsh.
They probably, well, to an extent, they always have been.
Right.
Maybe not as harsh as it feels now, because there's something else that you've described that comes with it, which is a kind of a lack of access to opportunity, shall we say, in terms of building and
Yeah.
structuring a life around the kind of things that we spoke about in a previous episode to do with home, family. It doesn't have to be. There are many other ways, establishing yourself in a business, establishing something. So it is harder. Having said that, there was a toll that was the people in the above me, the boomers, and earlier than the boomers, paid, in that I talk about the first business I worked for was an accountancy firm, a smaller one.
Mhm.
Two of the senior partners of that business died from heart attacks at age 51 and
Wow.
55. One of them working in the office, and the other one had been working in the office and had just left. So there was an intense pressure on these people. And I think that generations since then have possibly, they've seen an older generation. Obviously, in those days, we didn't know as much about diet, we didn't know as much about nutrition, about exercise, and all those things that we know now, and what was good for you and what wasn't. But that wasn't an uncommon kind of story. And I think that as you come down through generations, there is this kind of, there is a belief in hard work, but it's come out in different ways. It's shown in different ways.